Good afternoon, Quilt Roadies. Yay, look at that. I faced it. I faced this quilt and it's hanging behind me. It's up on a design wall. I don't really use that design wall. Once in a great while for small things. My design wall is usually my floor. I know. But I thought, I am going to hang that there. It turned out great, and I'm so glad I decided to face it. And so many of you have watched that video on how to face a quilt, and I sure do appreciate that. I did have to Google my YouTube channel again, which is really funny, because just trying to chant the mantra from the fabric stalkers, I had to make a pillowcase. I'm sending a pillowcase off to a family member who's away at college. She is up in Washington, and I wanted to send her a holiday. I should have sent it at the beginning of the month, but it's been kind of crazy around here, and I've been just riding the waves. You would think I was a professional surfer at this point, but I had to search my own video library for how to make a pillowcase, because as I was doing it, I was doing the chanting correctly. And all our fabric stalkers, I felt them present in right sides together, but I didn't trust myself, so I went and watched the video. But I got the pillowcase done. Look, it's a Halloween pillowcase. Isn't it cute? Yeah, so this has got to go in the mail tomorrow. I love making pillowcases. They are such great gifts, and this is I believe this is Teresa Kogut's fabric, and I will be seeing her at Primitive Gatherings. Yes, I'll be at Primitive Gatherings November 14th through the 17th, so any of you that are in that area, I would love to, because I think it's we're actually staying there, but I do believe that it's just like a place where you can stop in and stitch. If it's not my fault, okay? I had been missing my buttermilk basin stuff. Not that I don't have a lot of buttermilk basin, but I saw some new stuff, and so I went on the website, and yep, it's kind of like when you go on Primitive Gathering or Buttermilk Basin or Fat Quarter Shop, you're playing quilt bingo. It's like you press the button and you put it in the cart, and then you think about it and you delete it out of the cart, and then you put another thing in the cart, and then you delete that and put two other things in the cart until you yell bingo and press pay. Yeah, I feel like it's a game. But I saw these two kits, and I don't know about you. I know that on the other side of the world, you're starting your planting season. We're going definitely into our autumn season, and for many of you, it's the favorite time of year. But when I saw this table mat, and I love making table mats, gather round. Look at how pretty that is. And I love stitching in season. And I have to say, Stacy's wool choices were so beautiful. I mean, they are quite lovely and textured, just like I like them. And then I saw this. Squirrel bowl filler. How cute is that? And then it was packed with some yummy wool. So yeah, I did pull the trigger on those, and it looks like, oh, here it is. It looks like there'll be a Christmas at Buttermilk Acres Woolstock, and her Christmas stuff is so cute. November 6th through the 8th. Yeah, so go to the website and check that out. I spent this last week, the last 3 days anyway, cleaning the beehive. I really was trying to get down the layers. The beehive reminds me of like a mountain where when they excavate for like if they were in Egypt and they were excavating for the tombs, and they're looking down and they're going through the layers, and you've got the little brush brushing the sand away, brushing the floss of the thread away to find out what's underneath it, and you discover a gem. So in the process, I found a project that was all stitched. It just needed to be finished, fully finished. And I decided to fully finish it into a pillow as a gift for a family back east that my girlfriend, Pocket Robin, her son is going, she's going to visit them for the holidays. And in fact, this evening we are driving her to the airport. So she'll arrive here and leave her car here, and then we'll take her to the airport. And I decided to get this pillow done for that family that she's visiting. Oh no, it's my neighbor. You know how I am. I'm like Mrs. Hyacinth Bouquet in the neighborhood, checking out. My neighbor is backing out of her. If you wanted to know, my neighbor's backing out of her garage. Yeah, and 2 cars just went by, and a dog. Yeah. Okay, back to the pillow. At the end of this video will be a somewhat convoluted, not really tutorial, but step-by-step on how I put this pillow together. Because when I saw it, and I decided to do it, I thought it needed piping. So I did a little bit of videoing on making the piping and putting the pillow together. But here it is in its finished. Isn't it lovely? It's Halloween Sashiko, which is a total crack-up. Total crack-up. And then there's the back, and you know, she can get the pillow form when she gets back there, so it'd be easy to pack. And I just talked the process through, so you'll see that at the end of this video. Yeah. Okay. Talked about the pillowcase. I loved cleaning up because I did, like I said, find some projects that needed to be done, and we're waiting. They were just fermenting. And I finally got down to a fairly clean tabletop because I have friends coming over in a week or so to work on hexies. And so I needed to be able to clear that off so they had a space to work. I'm just trying to think so I'm not jibber-jabbering, but I have been almost at the end of listening to Lethal Weapon, which is by, let's see, I don't know where everything is. Anywho, it's a thriller. But what totally cracked me up, and I was talking to Cheryl, that is A Maker's Life. She, her sister, Colleen, is a true crime a true crime, I don't know, true crime junkie? Yeah, like they love all that. She and her friends all love that true crime stuff. Well, in this book by, I believe it's John Stanford, called Lethal Weapon, it's a thriller, and they're trying to discover who the criminal is in it. And they're using true crime buffs. It's a thing. I didn't realize. I've heard true crime and people like the research, true crime and stuff, but I didn't realize how big a thing it was. And so in this, it's a fiction book, but in this book, the police are actually enlisting the help of the true crime junkies. And so it made me think of my friend Colleen, who has a floss tube stitching with the Sisterlies. And she does amazing. She has the perseverance of a rock star, because she will make the same quilt. She will make quilts and sell quilts, and she will make the same quilt over and over if people are really wanting that quilt. And she's so quick. She is so quick. So you'll have to check her channel out. I have my, well, let's see, where did it go? Oh, here it is. I had my question and answers. So once I cleaned everything up here, I had to decide what to do, what really, gosh, isn't that just beautiful? I mean, really, it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, I have a tomato on my head. Yeah. So I rearranged everything on my rack. I took the blocks, the 30s blocks quilt that I made. I took that to Cedar Ridge Quilts, to the Donna the quilter over there. I told you that last time, that to have it quilted. I've never used their service before, and I thought it would be great to give them a try. And Donna was very professional. She had a whole book full of patterns that I could choose from, and she had suggestions as far as pattern and threads, which was very nice. And I told you that last time, but I'm excited about that. So now I have about 4 quilts still to bind, and several to quilt, some of which I will be doing myself. Yeah. So let's get to the question and answers. So Kathy wanted to know, and the best part of this question and answer segment that I've started is because many of you might have the same questions, and so it's like, yeah, it's like a group meeting. I'm calling it to order. So Kathy wanted to know about the lightning bolt fabric that I got from Cedar Ridge Quilts in Oregon City, and it is by Morris Creative Group for QT Fabrics. So that's the whole steampunk line. That's the whole steampunk line. So Carla asked, what size hexies for quilts? I have hexie template that is a 5-inch template all the way down to a 1/4-inch template. For kids' quilts, that 3-inch, 2.5-inch is fun, but the 5-inch, you don't need as many hexies. The ones that I hand stitch together with the silk thread, those are usually 1-inch hexie papers that I use. And it depends on what I'm making. Yeah. Okay. Mary Lou wanted to know about the Tea Time table topper. I am so excited about this. In fact, I came back, and when I was cleaning the shelves, because you know, my bookcase over there is filled with mementos and things, and I had some Tilda fabric that I got at the Quilt Basket in Bend, Oregon. They have the whole line. And I thought that would be perfect for this pattern. Yeah, perfect. So I've decided I'm going to use that Tilda line and make this pattern there. Yeah. And this is by the Birdhouse Patchwork Designs. And I got this at Cedar Ridge Quilts in Oregon City. Let's see. Oh, I so enjoy the fact that many of you take the time to read all of the comments and to help each other out, because I might not have the answer. I can blab a good talk. I can tell a good stories, but I might not always have the answer. And so Dee Dee had some great tips down in the comments on how to use your rulers if you only have the small rulers to cut out bigger pieces. So take the time to look at those comments, because you might find an answer to a question you've always wondered about, but most importantly, you might find a friend. You might find a neighbor or someone in your area that's looking for a pal just to stitch with, quilt with, and you could end up with your own best friend. Yeah. Okay. Marlene asked about when the sign-ups are for the sisters classes. And yes, I will be there again this year. I'll be doing the sit and stitch on Thursday and Friday. And the sign-ups for those classes is at the first of the year. So usually January 1st, 2nd, 2026, it'll be this. If you get on the mailing list for the stitching post in Sisters, Oregon, you will get the notification on when the sign-ups are. And it's one of those events that you do want to be made aware of it ahead of time. Have it on your calendar, have your alarm set, have everything ready to go that you need, and to sign up for classes, because it is fast and furious. And we have the best time in sit and stitch. You could meet your next best friend there, truly. And everybody is doing something different. It's not a class where I teach one pattern. It's where I assist and support and encourage whatever you're doing. And it's so wonderful, so wonderful. So I hope I see you there. Deborah asked, how do you quilt a wool quilt? It varies. Generally, when you stitch wool on wool or wool on cotton, it's pretty set. You don't have to quilt over it. But there is an opportunity to quilt in the negative spaces around the motifs. And that's where amazing things can happen. I don't, like when I make say I'm doing this table topper right here. I don't quilt that. I just stitch the wool down and stitch the layers together, and no stitching, no quilting. There are times, if you go on and look at, if you watch Lisa's Bongian Primitive Gatherings, her YouTube channel, where she'll show a quilt that has been quilted. She has a special quilter that does the quilting for her, and it is gorgeous. So it kind of depends. Yeah, I tend, if I have a spectacular wool quilt, I tend to send it out. I don't do it myself. I'm too chicken, yeah. Jan asked, what kind of labels on quilts? I have actually used a micron permanent pen and just written on the backing fabric. I collect pre-printed cotton labels. They sell them usually, many fabric lines sell those in yardage, and then you just cut them out, and I'll put fusible on the back of it, and I'll fold it under, fuse it to the back, and then whip stitch it down. Now, unfortunately, there have been times in big shows where quilts have absconded. And so it was suggested that when you go to tack your binding down, to write your name and information in the salvage area that is hidden under the binding. So if the quilt is found and whoever absconded with it took the label off, you could still then prove that it was your quilt. I don't know, it's kind of, in my heart, I feel bad that someone would do that, but then I think, did they really need that quilt? I don't know how I feel about it. I'm sad for the maker, though. I am sad for the maker when that happens. Yeah, so that was all the questions. We have been, today we have a break in the weather, and it's a beautiful blue sky. Oh, my neighbor is mowing his yard right now. I like that he's wearing headphones to protect his hearing. But we had several days of rain, and we had a ton of rain in the forecast. We do not lack water here, for sure. But today is an absolute stunning day. It's blue skies, and I'm just waiting for my friend to show up, and G and I will take her to the airport. He has to drive because I can't see at night, so I can't drive her. She wouldn't want me to drive her. And other than that, I'm going to keep figuring out what the next project is going to be, and I'll be back here with you not too long from now. You all take care, and you know I love you guys. Stay tuned for the tutorial show and tell of piping. So let's talk piping. When I found this project here, isn't it adorable? I mean, I got this in, I believe it was Minnesota. Yes, I was with my friend Karen, and we went to this really cool quilt shop. Well, actually, the first time I saw this project, it was made into a pillow at Karen's friend's house. And luckily, the shop she took me to had this project. But I'm being a little redundant. We're here about the piping. When I looked at this project, it came as a kit. So it came with the floss, the pre-printed Sashiko Halloween on a black cotton background, and this piece of checked black and orange. Normally I would just make a backing for the pillow and right sides together and then inside out and get a pillow form. But when I looked at it, I noticed that I got a whole lot of this fabric, and I know they intended me to double this up, but I am not a wasteful stitcher, as you know if you've been around here for a while. I save every little scrap. So I had this big, it looks almost like a third or a half a yard left over after I made my backing, my pillow backing, which the way I did that was I just put the pillow front on the fabric, and then I cut it out, and then I cut it in half, and then I took fusible. I buy this by the bolt. Of course, I bought it from Joann's. I'm missing Joann's. I don't know about you, but so this is a Pellon 101 Shape Flex. 30 yards on this bolt. I'm hoping it lasts me for the rest of my quilting life, but it could, because what I do is when I cut a piece, every little scrap of it I save in a plastic box, because I can use those. I can piece them together, butt them up together, like on the back of another pillow, or on the back of my cross stitch, on the back of my wool. I'll jigsaw puzzle those pieces in order to use every little scrap. So that's what I did back here, and I just made it about 1/4 of an inch inside. The size is about 1/4 of an inch inside the my backing fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press and sew one edge of this as the finished edge. And then it will be an envelope style. So it'll be like this and then like this. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to sew right sides together and then turn it inside out. But here's my decision making. I thought my own personal preference is that piping might be really cute on this. And I had so much of this fabric that I could make the piping out. So the way I make piping is I have this leftover fabric, and I have, which I also got at Joann's. I believe it was at Joann's, but I'm sure you could get it anywhere. You know, you could get it probably at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. At the time I bought this, it was $1.99. Says that, it's made in Taiwan but distributed from Oklahoma. So what I do is I measure how much I'm going to need of this piping. And it's going to overlap a little bit down here at the bottom. So this is a very, very precise, technical way I do this. So I just run this around like this, being very, very precise, because you know what a precise stitcher I am. And I'm going to just cut it a little bit longer than what's called for. Wow, these scissors are not the best scissors, but they're awful cute because they're got little bees on them, and I just love them. They're more of a decoration than a scissor. So now I have the length of piping I need. And the next step is to cut bias strips and stitch them together. And so the bias strips, and I'll cut just enough to cover all of that piping. And you know, it's like any bias cut. 45-degree angle. I could save that piece for a little hexie. Oh yeah, I should have called, instead of Stitch Roadies, I should have called myself the frugal stitcher. So I'm just going to be cutting these up on the bias. And the main reason is that it's easy to make the covering for my, and here, this is what I do. When I don't have enough space, I just fold it over and still cut. I'm still cutting my, I cut these at 2.5 because I'm so used to cutting bias strips, but I'm wasting fabric. So I think I'll cut this down to 2 inches. Because if I have some more of this fabric left over, this would be the great backing for some cross-stitch pillows or Halloween decor stitching. So I'm thinking, let's see. And this is another very precise measuring that I do, is I'm just going to lay it out and see how much I need. Because you know, it is, oh look at, I don't even need any more than these. So look at this. You see, I have all of this. It's probably about a fat quarter plus that I could use for something else. So I'm going to fold this up and put it in my stash. And then I'm going to cut these 2 pieces that I did at 2.5 because I thought of them as binding strips down to 2 inches. And that just gives me a little leeway, and I will cut it down again when I make the actual bias strips. So now we will go over to the sewing machine and actually make our piping. Hang in there. So now I'm on to the step of making the piping. And the most challenging part of making the piping with a woven is to make sure that all of your sewn seams are on the right side, because wovens look the same on both sides. So for me, this is the challenging part of this whole process, is actually making sure that my bias strip is with the seam on the same side. And then I have my dropped my piping and getting my machine all set to the correct settings, which is I'm using my zipper foot, and I get it right up tight against the piping. And I'm literally wrapping that bias strip around my piping. And I'm just going to be feeding it along. I know I have way too much binding and piping. I know it's going to be longer than what my pillow needs, but I always like a little bit extra to make sure. And I've heard that there are piping attachments, but this is just how I do it. Now, some people would have pinned this all and been very precise about it, but if you've been with me for any length of time, you know that I fly by the seat of my pants. And there is my piping all done. So here's my little piping strip for my pillow. So next is to layer the pillow together and pin the piping. That's where I kind of pin things. So stay tuned. So now I have my two sides pinned together with my piping pinned inside with the raw edge lined up with the raw edge of the front and back of my pillow. And I'm using my zipper foot to stitch the piping in there, and it's right down. I'm pushing that zipper foot right against the piping. Now, you know, this channel is all about the real, not the beautiful and perfect. So what I've noticed when I put my piping down and pinned it was I might have planned a little better, because I did an outside edge of the sashiko that I probably wouldn't have done, because I think it's getting lost in the stitching. And I just have to kind of move this around. I'm just moving it around with my zipper foot, and I'm pressing that zipper foot right against the piping. I mean, I'm using a lot of force to get that piping right against the zipper foot. So I'm kind of anxious to see how it will turn out. Ooh, and now I'm going over where the piping meets each other, and I just overlapped them and put both ends out this edge. Oop. Hit a needle. Well, like I said, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I've broken my needle, so stay tuned. So I did break my needle because I had the bad habit of sewing over the top of my needles. My pins, I should say. So now I have sewn all the way around. I am cutting the corners off, the little dog-eared things off, and we're going to see how this turned out. Okay, so now here is the layered stitch with the piping on the inside. Here we go. It's kind of like when I make pillowcases. It's like birthing a baby here. We gotta push, push, push that out. just pulling it inside out and smoothing it all out there. So far, it's looking good. I'm just using my fingers to mush that out. I felt a pin, still a pin in there. Okay. Okay, so remember, I am not one that does perfect. I look for completion. Ooh, it looks like I didn't quite grab onto the bottom part of that. But here we go. Let's see here if I can just move this ever so slightly. I like it. I like the piping on it. Isn't that cute? So what I was saying before is that I had a running sashiko stitch all the way around the edge. I probably could have left that off because most of it got sewn under the piping. But look at that. That's how to do piping on pillows. I love piping. So now I have a pillow for Halloween.